Welcome to your 4 to 5, everybody. It is that time of the day. Eric Chilton, Chad Silver, Lauren Coleman, Monique Robinson.
Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks for watching us on News 2, Farsight, Roku, and the WFMY News 2 app.
Coming up this half hour, we're going to be talking about the best way to carve a turkey. I was just watching Christmas Vacation last night where they cut open the turkey and it's just
I love that.
inside.
What?
So make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Yes.
We're looking forward to that, but first we have some big news. Law enforcement says thieves are targeting gun stores in the Triad. 2 stores were hit within 24 hours yesterday, one in Guilford County and another in Davidson County.
Police say they arrested suspects connected to the one crime but not the other. And check out the wild surveillance video from the second one. Crazy to see. Police say the criminals plowed through the wall of M&T's Pawn and Gun Shop in Lexington yesterday around 2 a.m. Store owner Mark Richardson says he's frustrated.
Unfortunately, it's kind of doing this type of business, you know, it's things like this unfortunately happen, and you try to do everything you can. It's not as much as the money it is. I just don't want, you know, these guns in the wrong hands.
Here's another angle of this robbery with better lighting. You can see the car crash into the store, then 2 people run inside and start smashing displays, grabbing several items. They leave and the car pulls back, but not before someone else runs in to steal more items.
Now, police say the suspects took several guns, but it's unclear at this point how many. The store is boarded up and closed as they clean up.
An hour before the robbery in Lexington, deputies responded to an attempted robbery in Guilford County. The sheriff's office says 2 men tried to break into Colfax Gun and Ammo on West Market Street.
Investigators say the suspects drove toward a responding Kernersville police officer, so the officer shot at the car. No one was hurt. Police arrested the suspects, who now face several felony charges, including assault with a deadly weapon on a government official.
Research shows theft is higher around this time of year. Just last week, Yadkinville police arrested 4 people accused of robbing 2 Triad gun stores. Despite cameras and security systems, thieves are still breaking in.
A St. Louis company is offering a new solution to stop burglars. You've got to see this. It's called Density Instant Fog Protection. Now here's how it works. Within seconds of thieves showing up, fog will fill the room, making it impossible to see. The device can be activated remotely and can keep a room foggy for hours.
About 22% of the time that stops a criminal from stealing something. Siren goes off, whatever. But when you add a fogger to it, a security fogger to it, it's 97% of the time. It gives them a chance to actively deter theft rather than just report it and get it on camera. Once one of these foggers goes off, the thieves usually go right back out the door they came in.
Wow. Bader says it's a non-lethal security measure that's already popular in the UK. He also says it's more effective than traditional security systems. I think that this is great.
I do too.
I think
Absolutely.
what it does is, you know, it deters that time it takes for the thieves to get in and get out, so police have a chance to get there, or they'll say, hey, this is too big of a job for us. It's not worth it. We're going to head out. It's kind of like, why didn't we think of this before?
Because it's so simple. It's not like, I mean, right. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, yeah, where has this been? And they can't, because it only takes, you know, 2 or 3 minutes usually for police to get there once something goes off. And they might not even be able to find their way back out, you know, if they can't see the door at all.
I mean, there is so much, I guess, interest in trying to figure out ways how to stop criminals. I mean, just think about, you know, those groups of people that, what is the term, where they go into like a jewelry store when it's open and just rob
all
the
together.
place.
A crime ring, really. It's just a group of,
Right, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of interest, and businesses, I can't imagine that would be too expensive to install in a business.
I wouldn't think so.
What, this fog?
Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think it's a great idea because you saw how much of a mess that video, those robbers left in that ammo shop. I just think what I'm trying to say is it affects the people who own the stores as well, because they lose a lot of money in this process too.
Right.
So this will help them.
It's incredible.
Winston-Salem Police, they are actually beefing up security of their own with a new crime center. Federal and local leaders celebrated its opening today. The hub brings several crime prevention tools into one location, like camera sharing, shot spotter detection, and text-to-tip. A few officers are holding down the fort now, but the department hopes to grow the team in the future.
When you think of community policing, what comes to mind? What does it mean to you? I asked you to share your thoughts on my Facebook page. Daryl Watkins says relationships spark understanding. Edward Schmidt wrote, "Good idea, promotes community involvement, neighborhood pride, and reduces crime." Anthony Medina, basically being involved with what happens in your community. So what do you all think?
I think to me, it's kind of the type of thing where if you feel like the police officers are part of your community, and I don't mean just your city, but like your neighborhood and that type of thing. I mean, there has to be a relationship. I mean, that's the key to all policing, I think.
I agree, and I love when I see some of the different departments in our area posting on social media when someone will help someone when their car breaks down and they need to change a flat tire, or you see a police officer out playing basketball with some kids who were just at the park, and just kind of really I guess putting down roots in the community.
It's getting to know the people that you serve.
Yep.
That's
because
right.
in a lot of communities, there's a natural fear of police, or they don't feel comfortable maybe going to them because they might feel like they're not actually here to protect me. But if you create that relationship and that transparency, people will feel good coming forward or going to police, or it could impact crime going down because they're creating those relationships. But I think it takes, law enforcement for them to make that call to step up to really get into the communities and get to know the people that they serve.
It was interesting. I was driving when I worked the Good Morning Show, and I'm going to work at like 3:45 in the morning, driving down the road, and I had a flat tire, and not in the best section of the city. And a police officer came up, noticed that I was in a suit also, and he goes, I'll do it. He changed my tire for me and then got me back on his way, and I asked for his name, and I made sure I called the police department and said, this guy didn't have to do that. He could have called a towing service or something for me, but I had to try to get to work. I was on a schedule, and he did it for me. So I thought that was huge to me.
My concern is that we've seen a lot of these departments dealing with severe staffing shortages.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, it'd be great to let a police officer go out and just make some good connections in the community, but when they're forced to do the job of a couple of different people because there aren't enough officers,
true.
it's it's a balance that is one side's much heavier than the other.
That's a good point that you make, but check this out. Community policing, it is a strategy departments use to focus on developing relationships with the neighbors they protect and serve. D'Anthony Brooks is an officer in Burlington taking community policing to a different level. He coaches, he mentors, and protects students every day at school.
Some kids, you never know what aspect they may have dealt with law enforcement. I've had kids that have had catastrophic situations with their family, and I couldn't believe they came to me and felt comfortable enough to talk about what they were going through with me.
So tonight on WFMY News 2 at 11, I show how Officer Brooks is building trust on the gridiron and in the classroom. He has a really great story to share, and just how the students see him as, one of the cool guys, but a lot of them do say they felt comfortable coming up to him and talking about things that might be going on in their lives, or things they might not feel comfortable with in school, or, reporting on other students doing things that they might not suppose.
He's like a counselor.
Yeah,
really.
like a counselor, yeah.
Sort of,
I really am happy that we are getting more SROs into schools, because I think that relationship with students is so crucial. You hear about good SROs that are constantly like high-fiving, they have handshakes with all these different kids, and I mean, look at the kids these days. We have to make sure that we're raising the kids properly.
Yes.
And I think if you have a relationship with someone in uniform, there's nothing bad. I mean, it's all good.
And he talked about when he was in high school, the SRO he had in his school that helped pretty much inspire him to be a police officer. But he also talked about the term SRO. You usually think of an older person or someone that's on their way out the door to retirement. And he says, getting some of the younger guys in there, that really helps to create that relationship with the kids.
That's the connection. That way, there's not that distance like, oh, that's dad. You know what I mean? It's like an older peer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, we're diving deeper into this story tonight at 11, and you don't want to miss it.
It was cold this morning. If you were outside, you've probably felt the chill. 23 is where we started at in Greensboro, 17 in Reedsville, 17 in Martinsville. Most times we're seeing those numbers in Boone. Today, everyone felt them. Over the last 20 hours, we've been in a chilly spell. You see these numbers overnight. We're all in those low 20s, 7 a.m. still at a 23. And then we warmed up as we approached the afternoon to around those low 50s. But that's where we're going to stop at. That sun is going down very soon afternoon, and then the warmth goes away with it. So those temperatures falling back down into some locations back into the 20s and 30s. So temperatures right now are in the 50s, 51 in Greensboro, 50 in Reedsville, 52 in High Point, and 53 in Asheboro. Tonight, as I mentioned, some of those numbers falling down into the 20s, 30 degrees in Greensboro, 30 in High Point, 28 in Asheboro. Clear and skies starting to increase with cloud cover as we get into the latter part of the night. And then as we go into the day on Tuesday, we could see more clouds around. We look over into the foothills, those numbers staying in the 20s, 29 in Mount Airy, 27 in Elkin, 29 in King. Those numbers staying in the chilling 20s. Again, this is a little bit warmer as compared to last night, but I mean 20s, it's for sure the number that we're going to see. So increase in cloud cover for your day tomorrow, but we should be staying dry throughout the most of your day on Tuesday. As we approach the midweek, your Wednesday, temperatures surge back into the 60s, and that humidity starts to build in towards the end of the week. Now we do have this tricky weather system that could bring us rain for your Black Friday and your holiday weekend. So I'll talk more about that and what we can expect for Thanksgiving Day, all coming up.
Maybe you are putting the finishing touches on your Thanksgiving menu. While there is a slew of side options, the star of the show is definitely the bird.
In many households, carving the turkey is a means of tradition or anguish. Those tasked with it either love it or they hate it. If you find yourself at the helm, here's how you should wield the knife.
Learning about the best bird for Thanksgiving starts 3,000 miles away on an English farm. Paul Kelly's family has been raising turkeys for more than 70 years.
They're hard to keep alive. I always say they are looking for a way to die.
From pasture to the perfect plate, Paul's turkeys age for 2 weeks.
So is this kind of like dry aging beef?
Exactly.
Paul recommends finding a mature bird, meaning more fat on it.
If you get a bird like this, you can bounce that up and down, and I've cut the legs, and it's just a solid, mature bird.
That's a sign of quality.
Solid quality.
This turkey tastes half as good as it looks. I think we're all in for a very big treat.
And to make sure your holiday doesn't end up like this one, let's talk turkey.
Turkey is not a very forgiving meat. When you take it over the top, it goes downhill very quickly. If you take your turkey out of the oven and that skin is beautifully crisp and golden, you've overcooked the turkey. So let's get down to carving it.
When it comes to the craft of carving, Paul takes us under his wing.
But all you've got to do is just take your time.
Easy for him to say. He holds the world record for the fastest carver at just over 3 minutes.
Take the leg off, take the wings off, take the breasts off. Once you've got them all there, then you're organised, then you can start to carve.
But after skillfully slicing and dicing, how does it taste?
Well, that's really good. I'd look forward to eating that on Thanksgiving Day.
Gobbling up tips from an Englishman for traditional American Thanksgiving.
I'm hungry now. I'm just hungry.
So we were just talking about turkey versus ham. I like to eat the turkey on Thanksgiving just because it's the tradition, but I have to have a lot of gravy on it because it tends to be so dry.
So you guys have to try, have you ever had a deep fried turkey? Okay,
yes.
so my dad deep fries them every year. This year my grandparents are hosting, so my uncle's gonna deep fry the turkey, but it is delicious, but that's kind of the only way I can really eat it.
Yeah.
I like turkey sandwiches, the leftovers. I do like turkey sandwiches. Sure. I'll do that, but I'm with you. I like the ham. If I had to pick in front of me, I'm picking ham over turkey.
So did you all know that Popeyes makes turkeys as well that you can order and pick up? So it's already seasoned. You still have to cook it yourself.
Oh.
So I went to a friend's giving this past weekend and we did the Popeyes turkey and they baked it. It was really good. It was Cajun seasoning and things like that.
And it's not frozen.
It is frozen. I mean, you let it thaw out a little bit, so you still have to cook it. It's not like you're getting a bucket of chicken.
But it's seasoned
But it's
already.
seasoned with their ingredients.
Oh, I love that.
It's very good.
Because I love Popeyes.
I didn't even know that was a thing till recently.
Are you a carver? I'm not.
I do. I'll carve it at home. I don't think I'm that great at it, but I'm the only one that wants to do it.
My dad carves it, and he has the electric
we do too.
one. I've never had to cut it before. I don't do any of the cooking for Thanksgiving. I can cook, but the adults, well, I am an adult, but my parents and grandparents, the older adults just always, take control of everything.
They still put you at the little table.
Or help me. I'm
the
peeling
kids'
sweet potatoes or something like that. So.
I'm on cleanup. That's what I do. I have to clean up. That's my job. I'd rather do that than cook anyway.
Well, we're going to clean up this segment here, and we'll be right back.
We're right around the warmest part of the day. Over the last several days, we've had temperatures in the 40s, but today we're reaching the 50s, and we're actually approaching where we should be for this time of year. 59 is that average temperature. We're seeing 50s. Lexington is clearly wrong. You're not at 27, and if you're watching that, you're probably saying, it doesn't feel that cold. Well, this is just the wrong data that you're seeing on this map. 51 is that high temperature in Greensboro. You can see other locations sitting at 52. In Burlington, 52 as well in Reedsville. All of these numbers in the low 50s, and we'll be taking a transition to much colder temperatures as we go into tonight. When we look across the nation, though, we're not really too far off when we talk about our high temperatures for today as compared to folks elsewhere. Now, if you're in Jacksonville, well, you're just plain old warm. 69 down there. Atlanta sitting at a 57. But when we look to the north and west, they're sitting in 30s and 40s. That's the weather we had over the weekend. We're starting to see a transition, a surge of warmer air creeping up as compared to last week where that colder air was shifting further south. And so we're going to see more of that warm weather as we go over the next several days. This high pressure has shifted a little bit offshore, transitioning our winds out of the southwest. We will get a series of disturbances that move throughout the course of this week, which will in fact change the weather. That front that you saw that moved through tomorrow will bring in additional cloud cover, but it won't bring any rain, expecting for it to stay completely dry through the day. Our futurecast showing you those more clouds moving in throughout the day on Tuesday. You can see a lot of those clouds moving in, maybe a sprinkle down to our south, but for our area, we should be dry through your Tuesday, staying dry on Wednesday, plenty of sunshine on Wednesday, which will help us to bake into the 60s. More details on that Thanksgiving holiday weekend coming up.
You know, we always love it when one of our own makes it big. Well, I'm sure the staff at UNCG is feeling that pride today, that's for sure. Ashley Sharp Chestnut graduated UNCG in 2015, and her career is skyrocketing. And it all started when she was just a little girl.
When I was 3 years old, I was watching Barney and Friends. My mom tells a story where I scoot up to the TV and I tell her that I want to be inside of the TV. And she's like, "You want to be inside the TV?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I mean, she put me in like other classes like gymnastics, karate, anything else to like, to see what your kid is interested in. But I always kept coming back to acting. And then in Charlotte, North Carolina, I went to Northwest School of the Arts and majored in theater with a minor in dance. And then I went to UNCG and got my BFA in acting.
So Ashley was determined to start her career, went straight to New York, started shoving her resumes and headshots anywhere and everywhere. And after only 6 weeks, she landed a role on Broadway, believe it or not. Fast forward a few years, she now has a starring role on Star Trek, the Star Trek base show Picard. You just saw her there for a sec, where she got to meet one of her idols, LeVar Burton, who was in Star Trek Next Generation. But it's how she remembered him that was such a cute story.
So LeVar Burton for me is Reading Rainbow. I mean, yes, we know like Roots and Star Trek, of course, Geordi, but like for me, Reading Rainbow, he was like my celebrity. And so the first time I actually met him though, we were across the lot. I saw him coming out of his trailer and I yelled, "Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm going to be your daughter." And then I like ran and like gave him a hug.
Nice guy.
Not super nice, so sweet. They invited me to Thanksgiving last year. I didn't have anywhere to go, and they invited me to Thanksgiving.
I love that.
Led a charmed life, it seems like. Yeah. So with this show, it's called Picard, and it's on the Paramount Plus network. And she gets to play Geordi, who is LeVar Burton's character. If you follow Star Trek, it's his daughter, and she's the helmsman of a new starship. So the season 3 of that comes out in February, and that's the one she's in. She's not in season 1 and 2, but I mean, she's making it. You know?
What I'm so impressed by, 6 weeks after graduation, and she got a role on Broadway. Some people work their lives, hustling years trying to get on Broadway. So that is very impressive.
You always wonder about the people who just pick up everything and move to New York or LA and just
do it.
And sometimes that's what it takes, because there's so many people who have dreams that some people might call pipe dream or something of that nature, but you have to bet on yourself and take that gamble, and some people aren't willing to. So the people who do succeed, I mean, that's amazing.
She met a bunch of different, obviously, people shoving resumes. She said there was one casting director in this one program that allows you to have a one-on-one chat for even like 5 minutes, something like speed dating, but for a job. And that one guy said, I like you. Let me keep your thing. And he got her an agent, and that was
all it takes is one person, one yes. That's
you.
all it takes is one yes.
So true. All right, we'll take a break. We're coming back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, great. Okay.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. It's Eric, Chad, Lauren, Monique with you today.
Hey everybody, you know you can watch us on News2, Fire Stick, Roku, the News2 app, and we're also streaming live on Facebook.
And this half hour we're going to be talking about the Artemis mission. You might remember last week we were talking about it finally taking off to the moon, and it has arrived, so we will have an update.
But first, an investigation continues following another mass shooting in the United States. Right now, a memorial outside of an LGBTQ club in Colorado Springs is growing.
It's in memory of the 5 people killed Saturday night when police say a 22-year-old shot up the club. Investigators are looking into a motive and charges.
A memorial outside Club Q in Colorado Springs is growing. A safe space now shattered after a gunman opened fire Saturday night.
I don't know where to go now. It's probably going to take a long time for us to even be able to feel safe out there anymore.
Police say 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldridge walked into Club Q Saturday and immediately began shooting with the long rifle, killing 5 people and wounding more than a dozen others. Patrons were able to subdue him until police arrived.
All we heard was just him kind of gradually going through the club and just shooting as he was kind of like walking. It was almost like target practice really for him.
The suspect was arrested on 5 murder charges and 5 charges of committing a bias-motivated crime, according to records obtained by the Associated Press. The DA's office says it's still reviewing the case before filing formal charges.
On the surface, it certainly has the trappings of a hate crime.
Investigators executed search warrants Sunday and scrubbed the suspect's social media accounts to see what kind of statements he made to other people. As the community mourns victims and rallies around survivors, Colorado Springs mayor is drawing a line in the sand.
We are intent on ensuring that the actions of one lone male, regardless of what his motivations were, are not reflective of our community and don't define our community.
The flag at the state capitol is flying at half-staff in memory of the lives lost. Marissa Armas, CBS News, Colorado Springs.
Chaplains with the North Carolina-based Billy Graham Rapid Response Team are in Colorado Springs today. They arrived late last night to minister to friends and family of the victims. The chaplains are there to listen, comfort, and pray with anyone in need. You know, we do stories on this group all the time going to disaster areas. Oftentimes it's disasters, natural disasters. Obviously this one is not natural, but it's nice that they're able to be there to help people who are just really having a terrible, terrible time.
I mean, you're helping people in need, whether it's through disaster relief or just emotional relief in this case. You know, every time we turn around, it's the same kind of thing. I said this on our 9 o'clock show this morning, and we were talking about the same topic, and I said at some point, people have to let go of hate.
Absolutely.
And they have to figure out how to talk to each other like human beings and get over this. And it kills me, it bothers me.
Let go of hate, learn how to talk to people, but also it gets down to the point where I feel like we're so polarized on certain issues that when are we going to take a moment to say this is a human issue? Because all these mass shootings, you don't really hear about it to this frequency in other countries, but we're seeing it happening here. Every week there's another headline about several people shot here, several people shot there. We keep saying, how do we stop this? I think we know how we can help reduce it, but no one's really making major moves to reduce it. And I think it's because we're just too divided on certain opinions rather than coming together to say what is best for us as a human people.
I just want to see, I would like to see the numbers in other countries. I mean, I hear that all the time, but I would love to see just how far away we are from that and then start there. I don't know what those numbers are, but they are, you're right, it's disparate.
I mean, it's just sad. It feels like, these people are at a club enjoying themselves, having, their own time. You hear about something in a theater, you hear about something at a grocery store, you hear about something at a school. It's almost like things that are supposed to be public spaces for us to feel comfortable, you can't necessarily feel comfortable anymore. You don't want to live in fear because things can happen anywhere you go, but it's just, what do you do? And I feel like there is something that can be done, but people have to actually break outside of the norm, get outside of their comfort zone and come up with those solutions.
Mental health to me is number one.
Yeah,
should be
that's
focused
huge
on
too.
our country.
Normalizing that.
All right, so we've got continuing coverage, of course, on this Colorado shooting. It's on WFMYnews2.com and our app. And the free app, by the way, can be downloaded and will be first to get any updates. So tune there first.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. First up today, federal investigators are trying to figure out what caused a plane to crash in a Winston-Salem neighborhood Saturday morning. The pilot radioed that he needed to circle the airport before trying to land. During that time, investigators say he lost control of the plane and crashed near New Walkertown and Kem Road. It could be a year or longer before we get that final report. Flames ripped through a Winston-Salem home, forcing out a family of 11. Firefighters say a short in a lamp caused it. No one was hurt, but the Red Cross is helping the family.
Experts predict most Thanksgiving travelers are hitting the roads and the skies on Wednesday. AAA predicts nearly 55 million people will be on the move, and now is not the time to practice poor planning. Gas up early if you can, and beware of insufficient parking at airports. Officials fear there might not be enough and encourage people to reserve them ahead of time. Organizers are gearing up for a massive Thanksgiving in Greensboro. The annual Feeding the 5,000 event is back tomorrow at Lawndale Baptist Church. The parking lot opens at 6 a.m. with the giveaway at 6:30 a.m. There are 1,000 turkeys to give out, each feeding 5 people. The church will also give away $25 Food Lion gift cards.
Well, we are in full holiday mode right now. Thanksgiving, of course, coming up in just a matter of days. Christmas next, and then New Year's, all one right after the other.
And boy, can it be a fun time, but it can also be stressful. It can be difficult to enjoy one moment without actually thinking about the next one arriving.
Psychology expert Blanca Cobb is here with us today to help mitigate planning anxiety when you may be feeling. So Blanca, why is it difficult for some people to tell their families about their concerns, particularly when it comes to money?
When it comes to money, there's a lot of embarrassment and judgment, particularly when family members might say, well, you spent money on X, so why can't you spend money on Y? Why can't you come see us? Why can't you buy Christmas presents? Or when it comes to visiting, you might feel bad because someone's feelings might be hurt, depending on where you decide to go and how long you decide to stay.
Also, you know, Blanca, there's a little bit of prep before you start talking to your family. I think almost we have to do some mental exercising before the family gets there. Like, how do we handle that? What's the prep work we should do?
Well, before you start talking to your family about the next holiday, think about what you really want, how you want to spend it, and how it includes you and your family and everybody else in the family. This is about money you're going to spend on gifts, whether you want to draw names, whether you want to buy a gift for everybody, where you want to spend the time. If you have parents who are divorced, or if you're in a romantic relationship, how are you going to divide the time between your two families? And then those are the types of questions you want to ask, answers you want to have before you start a conversation with your family.
And everybody's got family members who take things in different ways depending on how you say it. So I imagine you got to navigate those conversations carefully.
You absolutely do. I say talk to the person who seems to be like in charge, if you will. Their coordinator might be a better word. Say, what are the plans? Tell me how this is going to look. Once you get an idea of what's planned, then you can talk about what might work or what might not work for you. But my suggestion is if something doesn't work, have a solution, because if not, then you might have more questions and more problems.
All right, thank you, Blanca. We appreciate it. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, body language expert.
I've been teasing ahead to this idea that we could see some rain this weekend. So our forecast shows rain chances starting late Thursday night. I do believe your Thanksgiving holiday should be all clear. Even the drive up on Wednesday should be good. Now Friday, that's when we have that best chance of rain. A lot of the forecast models, what we use as meteorologists to figure out the weather, right? That has been kind of inconsistent over the last couple of days on when the rain will arrive. Some of them have said Friday, some of them have said Saturday. It looks as though they're closing in on both days. So I'm going to show you one of those case scenarios of what we could expect for your weekend. Again, saying Thursday, dry. We're seeing that here on this map. Now, as we go throughout the day on Thursday, we're going to see clouds increase and then the rain arriving on Friday. We'll get a break from the rain at times. We're not looking at a continuous rain all the way through the day on Friday, all the way through the day on Saturday. We'll get a break between the two, and then we'll get more rain that will arrive on Saturday night, going through the day on Sunday. So we're talking rain for the weekend. So I do believe I can say Friday looks like it's Thursday. It looks like it's going to be mainly dry. The rain coming in on Friday, and then we'll get a break from it before more rain arrives Saturday, going into your Sunday. That looks like what the picture we're going to see. As we get closer to those days, we'll be able to fine tune the details and really give you a better estimate of how much rain we can expect to see. Again, breaking down those 3 days, your Thursday looking to be mainly dry throughout your daytime. Your Friday, rain is possible at times, and then we get a dry spell Saturday morning, late Friday night, before more rain arrives Saturday night, again going into your Sunday. So again, Thursday dry, Friday wet, Saturday night wet once again.
Like a classic combination when a dark, delicious cookie meets an icy cold sensation. It's the one and only creamy chocolate ORE.
A pair of feathered friends avoided the dinner table by way of a presidential pardon today. President Biden did the honors this morning at the White House.
Chocolate and Chip were raised on the Circle S Ranch in Monroe, North Carolina, by the National Turkey Federation Chairman Ronnie Parker. They'll now head back to Raleigh and the NC State campus, where they'll live out the rest of their days there.
Where are you going to live at NC State?
That's what I said. What I was worried about was they'd go to the agricultural department of NC State and some kind of testing or that.
Just experiments.
Don't do that.
I have to say though, those are some beautiful turkeys. They're huge and full.
You're not going to have a presidential pardon to an ugly turkey, okay? It's got to be a pretty.
It's got to be pictorial.
Ooh,
yes,
they're
absolutely.
fancy.
What I always used to worry about is that they would say, okay, you're pardoned, but then they put them back in the lot and maybe you get chosen next year, maybe you don't. Do they really get to go to pasture, so to speak?
And like, how old is a turkey? You know, like how old are those
no
turkeys? Do you get
Sounds like a follow-up story.
Yep.
Sounds like Two Wants to Know.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, as you might expect, there is a deep history to this pardoning, and Tanya is all over it.
I mean, there's a backstory to everything, right? Sometimes history is a mishmash of fact and folklore. Here's what Two Wants to Know found out about pardoning this guy. Picture it. 1863, a live turkey is brought to the presidential residence in preparation for Christmas. But President Lincoln's son Tad named the turkey Jack and taught the bird to follow him around the White House grounds. Yup, the turkey became a pet. Tad begged his dad to spare Jack's life. President Lincoln wrote up a pardon. But then 100 years passed by, and any turkey sent for dinner made it to the table. It wasn't until President Kennedy said he wouldn't eat the turkey sent to the White House that the pardon tradition started up again. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush made pardoning a turkey official with a presidential pardoning ceremony. All right, so a little bit of fun facts. All right, it's interesting how things like that are done, like with the president and Lincoln and all that. The next administration says, nah, and then it gets back up and it gets going again. I mean,
I'm glad they
all kinds of things.
I like it.
So, by the way, the turkeys, you talked about how the National Turkey Federation chairman, that's how the turkeys are picked every single year. So whoever is the chairman, they get their turkey from their home state. And then those turkeys get to go back to the home state to a university that is as close to their farm home as possible.
Not for testing, though.
Not for testing.
Not for testing.
But it is the agriculture department.
I know.
We're just going to end it right there.
We'll just let that go. I think North Carolina is one of the top 4 turkey producing states in the country, I do believe.
I know between that and sweet potatoes and maybe a few other things, right?
So you didn't say that too confidently. We might have to verify that.
We'll have to look at that.
I'm Googling right now. We're
in the meantime, Lauren, can I hear your best turkey sound?
Please.
That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. I can't take any more of that.
That's weird. Okay.
That was weird. Why did you do that to me?
Too much.
And your faces have to like make this weird thing too to make it happen.
Can I hear yours?
I don't know. Eric is going to check. He's going to verify what he just said, and we're going to let you know during the commercial break if you're on Facebook. So we'll be right back.
I'm not making that noise.
What if that did make it? I'm not putting that out there.
Okay, so Facebook, Eric pulled this stat out of who knows where.
I just remember.
He got lucky.
Yeah. Good. And so we're fact checking it.
All right. According to the USDA, the top turkey producing states in order are Minnesota, North Carolina, Arkansas, Indiana, Missouri, Virginia, Iowa, and California.
You did it.
California.
We got it. Number 2.
Nice work.
Kind of surprised by the California.
I am too.
California.
It's just so big. You know,
Everything's in
They just have a lot of space.
I'm sorry that I questioned
you
your...
poo-pooed on my turkey stat. How dare you? Gosh, where North Carolina makes.
You know Eric knows that useless trivia.
Well, yeah, that's what I live my life for. 30 million turkeys, I guess, a year in North Carolina.
Turkey, schmirky.
And it's 40.
Put it in a lurky burky.
Do you like turkey?
It's dry.
Too dry?
Yeah.
That's why you got to put gravy on it.
My dad fries it. He thinks it's so juicy. I'm like, Dad.
It is juicier than if you baked it.
It's juicier, but it's not juicy.
Correct.
You feel me? So.
You feel me?
You feel me?
But when you just eat everything all together.
Yeah, I mean, like I got
good.
like stuffing mixed in with there and the gravy, and there's always some corn stragglers and some cranberry sauce.
Do you eat? I was gonna ask. Do you eat the cranberry sauce? I don't. It always just sits there.
I like both the kind that like comes out in the shape of the can.
I like that
also,
kind.
like if it's like a cranberry chutney, like it's got like all the stuff in it.
I don't like it.
I've never had that with all this stuff in it.
Also, if you ever think about it, every side, I'm gonna say 90% of the sides at Thanksgiving, if they touch, nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if your green bean casserole is next to mashed potatoes or mac and cheese and stuffing, all that works well together.
Right.
Not the cranberry sauce.
Not the cranberry sauce.
Yeah, that's the one. It just messes it all up.
What is the cranberry sauce for? The turkey?
Like you just eat it like a separate.
It's almost like a dessert for the
Sort
meal.
of.
Kind of.
Jello.
Jello.
It's so good though, and when you shake the plate, the whole thing just wobbles. Do you know the noise it makes when it wobbles?
Oh my gosh.
Bye, Facebook.
Bye.
Everybody do your Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. Well, maybe not infinity, but at least the moon. NASA has successfully landed on the moon, finally. It's the first trip to the lunar surface in 50 years. No humans came along for this ride, but if all goes well, that could soon change.
Orion's onboard cameras captured this view of the approaching moon and a very small Earth floating in the distance. The blue orb then disappeared as NASA's capsule and crew of test mannequins began a 34-minute journey around the backside of the moon.
And we do have loss of signal.
No communication could happen here, hence the animation. But during this time, NASA says Orion buzzed 80 miles above the moon's surface. Orion then fired up its orbital maneuvering system engine, leveraging the moon's gravitational pull to catapult into a new distant orbit.
Earthrise of our pale blue dot.
About an hour later, Orion soared above Tranquility Base, where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on July 20th, 1969.
This is one of those days that you've been thinking about and dreaming about for a long, long time.
Next Monday, Orion will travel about 270,000 miles from Earth, the furthest in NASA's history for a spacecraft intended for astronauts.
NASA looks at the Artemis program as really a two-phase sort of thing. One, test technology and procedures in order to eventually go to Mars. And two, look for resources you can mine on the moon to make exploration easier and lower cost.
Orion's 3-week journey will end December 11th with a splashdown near San Diego in the Pacific Ocean.
3, 2, 1, boosters in ignition.
Orion blasted off last week atop the most powerful moon rocket NASA has ever built. If this Artemis mission is successful, astronauts are slated to head to the moon as early as 2024.
All right, I'm glad the test went well, but I really am looking forward to seeing men on the moon again.
Just go there. Just do it. Just go.
Do we know why it's been so long?
Just go. It's hard.
I don't know. But why is it hard? Like, why is it hard to go to the moon, but it's not hard to go to the ISS?
Well, the reason why they had what?
Well,
I didn't know the ISS part, but the test dummies, because us physically being able to leave Earth's gravitational pull has an effect on us as human beings in our bodies and stuff like that.
Right,
so
but like we send humans to the International Space Station every other day.
I think the key was it was almost like done that, and now they're looking for other things. Remember they talked about Mars as being a thing in the future, trying to get some of us to Mars. The trouble with that is you don't come back. That's what they said. But I think it's a checklist thing. And then now they're like, let's go back and see if we can get back on the moon again. They could call, I mean, you think about it, I don't know how long, that didn't take that rocket long to get there.
No, because we just reported on this last week.
So you could actually just shuttle on up there and spend a vacation and come on back.
And no traffic.
No traffic at all.
But he also said that the video was like different because the internet service and stuff was bad. So I think also being able to have the technology to send and all that makes it difficult. They're trying to figure out the technology part of things also to make sure things are able to come back. Because you can go there, make sure you're safely able to come back.
And my questions just come from a place of curiosity, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't been to the moon in 50 years, isn't it? Like,
it's our next door neighbor.
I was shocked to hear that number last week when we talked about this.
That's like saying, I haven't been to Archdale in a while. There's no reason. Just drive over, go.
They have good restaurants there.
Well, sometimes curiosity is what spawns a lot of science. And even now, folks looking at this Beach Mount Summit camera are saying it's snow in Beach Mountain. Well, if you think about it, our temperatures being in the 20s to kickstart our day, if there was any precipitation around, we would be seeing a wintry mix. Luckily enough, it was dry, so we weren't seeing that. In the mountains, though, they are seeing some snow. Our cameras all across the Triad have blue oasis of skies. Few clouds picking up on some of these pictures, but these are all those fair weather cumulus clouds, the nice clouds, the ones that come with high pressure, and that's what we're dealing with. That's why our satellite radar is completely dry. Nothing happening. Tomorrow, not expecting for much of any activity beyond additional cloud cover. We should be staying cool with temperatures in those 50s throughout your afternoon tomorrow. It's going to be a nice Tuesday and Wednesday, getting even warmer. This is where we should be for this time of year, in the upper 50s, and we're going to stick that way for quite a while. I'm looking forward to more days in the 50s and more nighttime lows more comfortably in the 30s. Make sure to stay tuned to WFMY for more weather updates regarding your holiday weekend.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. AAA expects 1.5 million North Carolinians to travel.
It comes as Americans have grappled with record inflation this.
Hey Brett, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3.
Thanksgiving dinner, juicy turkey, candied yams, greens, and of course that homemade pie.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. It's time for my 2 cents. Thanksgiving is one of
It's time for my 2 cents. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. What I enjoy most is the time to reconnect with friends and family I haven't seen throughout the year. Growing up, my parents loved to host Thanksgiving dinner. From cleaning up the home to preparing the big meal, it can be quite stressful. I found an article by B&A Warehouse that lists Thanksgiving do's and don'ts. Here are just a few. Don't turn down the offer of help. As I previously stated, preparing the meal requires a lot of work. Let guests bring some of the side items like wine or desserts. This is a great opportunity to let kids help in the kitchen or set the table. Do give yourself enough time. Try to buy most of your supplies early. Don't stress over the small mistakes. If you forgot a special garnish for the mashed potatoes, there's a good chance no one will even notice. Do take allergies and food restrictions into account. This doesn't mean every dish must be vegan or keto, but it is nice to have a few options for those who may have certain dietary restrictions. Lastly, don't spend all your time in the kitchen. Thanksgiving is about creating memories with loved ones. Find time to relax and enjoy the meal you help prepare for the ones you love most. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now. Planes, trains, and automobiles. It's nearly Thanksgiving, and many will be traveling to celebrate with family.
Yeah, AAA expects, get this, nearly 55 million people will travel for the holiday. It is the 3rd highest number the travel agency has ever recorded.
WFMY News 2's Hunter Funk is live in Greensboro and spoke to a couple of travel experts about what you should and shouldn't